This is where I grew up. I mean, we moved here when I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. And actually, if you look at the top of that hill, you see the school at the left here. If you kind of walk up the hill, which you can't see, you can see kind of the car up there with the headlights. But right up at the top of that hill is the first house we moved in when we moved here. 2820 Scott Mill. I don't know how I remember that, but I do. We used to come down here and play in the creek. We actually used to crawdad fish. It was kind of cool. I don't know if crawdads are still here. We'll walk down here and check it out, hopefully not fall in. But let's find out. They used to hide in little holes, and we used to dig them out with nets, and you know, you'd even jump down in there. There were spots in the creek that weren't really that wide. I mean, it's pretty wide now because this is, you know, hell, 40 years later, 45 years later. So obviously it's eroded away, and that's why they put the brick here. But the creek didn't used to be so wide, and we used to bring our bikes down and set up ramps and try to jump the creek. It was kind of cool. And most of the time we weren't really trying to make it across because it was still fairly wide. But what we would do is we would jump and then jump off the back of the bike and land into the creek, and the bike would land into the creek too. It was just kind of a way to jump into the creek ourselves, but jump the bike into the creek. Now the problem was that the bike would sink because it used to be a lot deeper back then because it was less wide. And so what we would do is we'd tie a tether ball to the handlebars, so the tether ball would float, and it had the rope on it, and then we'd just pull on the rope to get the bike back. Anyway, and this hill right here, this hill we used to call Killer Hill. It was a little bit more steep back then, but we used to ride roller skates down this hill and really get going quite fast. I mean, it was scary as hell. Matter of fact, that's where I kind of learned to go fast on something before we first went snow skiing for the first time. You know, we would practice roller skating down this hill here, and it's like, okay, I think we got it. Now, obviously, if you fell, it hurt a little bit worse than falling on snow. But speaking of snow, this hill right here, which you can see with kind of the dirt on the side, hey, we used to sled down that hill. I mean, yep. And this school over here, I'll zoom in a little bit. That school over here is where I went to elementary school. It was called Woodlake Elementary back then. Now it's named after the principal. It's Thompson Elementary, because the principal back then was June Thompson, who I actually had met and remembered. Obviously, she's long gone now, but so they named the school after her now. Anyway, just wanted to take you on a little tour of, you know, what's here. People are playing frisbee and just enjoying it, and these apartments over here. This is where my dad moved into once my parents got divorced. And these were called the Woodlake Apartments. I don't know what the hell they're called now. But the interesting thing is back up the hill, the house that we lived in is just right up the hill. And then when my parents got divorced, my mom kept the house. Actually, I don't know if you can see the street sign here. Car's coming out right now there. But that's Hay Meadow. And we had a house on Hay Meadow. And when my parents got divorced, my dad moved into the Woodlake Apartments here. And it was a nice time. You know, they live very close to each other, so we could spend time at both places, and didn't even, we were young enough, we didn't need a car or anything. We could just walk from one place to another. There go some ducks. But, yeah, it's just kind of interesting. It is. My dad, when he got divorced, he had a roommate. His name was Pete. Pete was in the military. He had gotten out. His dad was a 4-star general. And Pete was always real close. Pete was actually kind of a second father to us. And he's the one who introduced me to spicy food, believe it or not. Because Pete, when he was young, broke his nose and couldn't smell real good. And because of that, he couldn't taste real well either. So he just put Tabasco on everything just so he could taste it. And I kind of learned from that. Anyway. Maybe you're learning more than you wanted to know. I don't know. But, yeah, the apartment that my dad and Pete had, they were roommates. It was kind of cool because, when I was younger, it's kind of what I wanted to do. Follow my dad's footsteps. Because when he and Pete got the apartment, it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was on the pool. And the cool thing was, it would get loud sometimes, especially on the weekends when the pool was busy. But what we would do is we would have pool parties. And because the apartment was, not on the pool, but the patio, you just go out of the apartment patio, walk about 10 steps, and you're on the pool deck or whatever. So I guess you could call that on the patio. On the pool. But anyway, we would rent margarita machines and sponsor that for pool parties. And we were just kind of the life of the party back then. And now you see where I kind of picked some of that up from. And, I think it's pretty cool what you are, kind of another life of the party. Maybe that's one of the things that attracts me to you, amongst the many. But, I'm just kind of enjoying the sunny day and going to have dinner with some friends in a little bit. And someplace real close to the office that you have. It's at that Osaka place, so I like that. It's nice. It'll be a nice dinner. A lot more calm than last night. But either way's fun. I know you know that too. Sometimes getting out and partying up is fun, and other times just spending quiet time with close friends is fun. So that's what tonight is. But I was just thinking about you. I hope you have a great time tonight. Hopefully you don't get too trashed and don't have to rally too much tomorrow for Easter. But if you do, I hope you really enjoy it. You deserve it, Mel. Anyway, I don't know if there's anything more I want to share about this area, but I'll talk to you later.